Just staring off to the right here and super good here. So I'm going to be going live. Hey folks, this is Kevin O'Neill here. I hope they can hear me. Can everybody hear me right?
Hey, everybody quiet down.
Let me go to the mess. Oh, here you go. Put it in my mouth. There. Hey folks, this is Kevin O'Neill here. I hope they can hear me. Delay here. So because of the obvious technical issue, I'm going to make it real quick on the opener. Let's go to this working. And I'm going to turn this over to the obvious technical issue, I'm going to make it real quick on the Stop. You're good to go live here. Just make a beat right now. You're fine.
The pinball machine.
I think you're it's going to be a delay, so just you're good to speak right now.
The pinball machine.
You're good to go. You're full volume, sir.
What's that?
You're full volume.
Good. I am at full volume, yes. Do you have a hard time hearing me?
You're good to speak right now. I mean, basically, we got a 10-second delay to go onto the screen bar, so just speak freely and give me like a 30-second heads up before you turn it back. You're full volume, sir.
What's that?
You're full volume.
Good. I am at full volume, yes. Do you have a hard time hearing me?
So just for the record, just totally ignore all the noises you hear and just speak freely because it's streaming just fine.
What's that? Good. I am at full volume, yes. Do you have a hard time hearing me?
Thanks. Don't wait for the button.
I'm at full volume, yes. Do you have a hard time hearing me?
Just it's like 5 minutes ago. It's not my earpiece, it's this one. Dude, can you turn the volume down? Maybe that's the main problem here. I'm hitting mute and I'm going to hold the mute button down. You just go as soon as I turn this off.
I seem to have lost the sound. Can you still hear me? Hello, I'm getting no sound on my end. I can't hear anything. No sound. Hello? There we go.
Can you hear
Now
me
I can hear you.
All right, so there's going to be a delay in that room, but if you speak freely,
I can't hear anything.
yeah, if you speak freely, ignore all the background noise. It'll be like fine. So just when I say go if possible, and you just give me a 30-second countdown when you want me to get back on, and the floor is yours. I'm going to hit the mute button.
I have no sound again. No sound. No sound.
Sorry about the no sound condition. I'm
Now I
trying
can hear. Now I can hear.
back loop. So if it starts feeding back, I'm going to go mute again. Can you hear me all right? Okay. So at this point, everybody, let's go on the camera, on the folks at this point. Thanks for your patience. It's technical issues, but we've got them solved. Sorry about the no sound delay, so we're going to go to the background. We're just going to turn the floor over to Mr. McAfee, and guys, just be patient. Thanks for your attendance. Okay. So at this point, everybody, folks at this point, thanks for your patience. With technical issues, but we've got them solved. Sorry about the no sound delay, so we're going to go to the background. We're just going to turn the floor over to Mr. McAfee, and guys, just be patient. Thanks for your attendance. Okay. So at this point, everybody, folks at this point, thanks for your patience. With technical issues, but we've got them solved. Sorry about the no sound delay, so we're going to go to the background. We're just going to turn the floor over to Mr. McAfee, and guys, just be patient. Thanks for your attendance. Okay. So at this point, everybody,
I can't read it.
So, I thought this was muted. I think it is.
Got no sound again. I could hear for a moment. You want to text it to my phone?
Yeah.
Can you text it to my phone? What are you trying to text? Oh, good enough. I got it. Okay. I'm assuming you can hear me, and I'm assuming you can see me. I can't really tell for sure. But that's okay. I talk to myself a lot, so if I'm doing that now, that's fine. First, I'd like to say I'm happy that you invited me through this technological entanglement here to be with you. I just recently joined the Libertarian Party, although in my heart and in my life I have been a libertarian from the age of 12. In fact, I was a libertarian, I believe, before the word was even coined. I believe in personal freedoms and personal privacy. I see around me a government that has gone insane. $3.8 trillion a year in expenses, and we have no clue where that money is going because our government has turned inward and has turned paranoid. There is an iron curtain between ourselves and what our government is doing. None of us truly know what's happening behind that curtain. We do know that the government is way too large. In the executive branch alone, there are 2.6 million employees, and that does not include contractors. That number is probably doubled if you include the contractors. When this country was founded, it was founded on the principle that government is created to serve the people. We create the government. In this democracy, it is created to serve us. When it stops serving us, we have the right to change it or even to abolish it. This is in the Declaration of Independence, one of the first penned documents that was part of the formation of this country. Right now, we have a government which wants to be a mother and a father and a boss to us, to tell us what we can do with our own bodies, what we can do with our own lives, what we can ingest. If we're terminally ill, the FDA tells us that we cannot have potentially life-saving drugs because there is the possibility that it may harm us. See the insanity in that. The TSA and Homeland Security say that they are there to protect us. Yet when I stand in line in the TSA to travel freely in this country, I have to take off my shoes and my belt, put my hands in the air, possibly be frisked, while my personal belongings are being closely scrutinized. I don't feel protected when that's happening. I feel like the enemy. When the NSA says, I must open up my life for examination so that it can assure me I am not the enemy that it is protecting me from, is also insane. Our government treats us like the enemy because it fears the public. We are dissatisfied, not just me, all of us. We don't feel served. We feel abused in many cases. I'm 70 years old. I do not need a mother and father telling me what to do, and I certainly do not need a government telling me what to do, what I cannot do, invading my personal freedoms, invading my privacy. In the world that was created in 1776, the government was there to serve us. The people, you and I, are the boss, but the government acts like it is the boss. The very word politics, if you look it up in Webster's, it is defined as the principles and practices necessary to gain power within a government and to maintain power within a government. Is that what we want in a government? People seeking power? No, I don't. I want people seeking to serve me, to serve you, to serve the public. We are the people the government should serve. Instead, the government makes us serve it. more taxes, more laws. The laws on the books that have been passed by Congress since this country was formed, if I were to read them, and I'm a fast reader, 24 hours a day, it would take 600 years to read them all. See the insanity in this. We have a government that is bureaucratic, non-functional. It has not kept up with the times. In the field of cybersecurity, for example, which is the most critical field that we're facing today, our government is 20 years behind countries like Russia and China. China has declared cyber war on us. They haven't stated it, but last year they took 21 million records of every employee of the US government for the past 50 years. This is the greatest coup of espionage since the beginning of time. So we have to accept the fact that we are not prepared for the world that we are living in. We have to accept the fact that Russia and China could any day push a button and destroy our infrastructure completely. Take down our power systems, take down our emergency services, all of our communications. And yet our government pretends that this threat does not exist. The next war will not be fought with bombs, airplanes, guns, and missiles. No, it will be fought with cyber warfare. The ability of one country to break into the critical systems of another and destroy the infrastructure. And it will be many times worse than any nuclear war you could possibly imagine. And we ignore it. What did the government do when the Chinese took the 21 million records from the Office of Personnel Management? It hired consultants to make the employees feel better about themselves. That was the insane response of our government. I don't feel free. I don't. I feel free inside, and I try to act free, but my government wants to control my every movement. I've lost all of my privacies, and so have you. The NSA, the CIA, the FBI, and all 14 covert agencies within the government are spying on us because it is afraid that we are the enemy. But we are the citizens. The government is our servant. It has no right to do this. It should be that we get to spy on the government. We should be able to have a clear mirror or a clear window into everything that our government is doing. Otherwise, how can we be assured that the government is, in fact, serving us? The presidency is called what? It's not called the seat of service. It's called the seat of power. The last president who actually did not want to be president was Dwight Eisenhower in the 1950s. And I was alive in the 50s as a young man, a teenager. And I remember that time where all things were possible, where dreams could be real, where the government was not interfering in entrepreneurism and business, where we felt that we could do and think and act as we wished. And he did not want that job. He had been a general in the Great War with missiles and nuclear arsenals and battleships and airplanes. This was not a promotion for him to be president. He did not want it. He took this job because he wanted to serve. Name another president since him that has done that. We need to get rid of the concept of government being the power and get back to the concept of government being the servant. And we don't need the government that we have. 2.8 million employees in the executive branch alone. We could get by with 1/10 of that. I think, in fact, if the government, all of them went home for a year, we would not notice a difference. We've got to get back to a sense of sanity. We have to regain our personal freedoms. We have to regain our privacy. And we cannot do it unless we all act together and we have a fearless approach to changing things. And there are many ways to do this. I would love for Article 5 of the Constitution to be invoked, where we could have a real constitutional convention without the interference of Congress and pass as many amendments as were necessary to get the government back to a rational state. Barring that, we need a president with the courage, the strength, the perseverance, and the vision to reduce this government to a manageable state. It will not be easy. It will be an extraordinarily difficult task and a dangerous task. Whenever you threaten power, power strikes back. Well, I've lived my life pushing at power. I have lived my life being free, thinking free, doing with myself what I chose, avoiding interfering in other people. I do not hit people. I do not steal their stuff. This is really the only laws that we need. And the laws of contracts, if we make a contract, we adhere to that. What other laws are necessary? If I wish to experiment with drugs, it is my problem. If I become a heroin addict, the addiction itself is its own punishment. We don't need to punish that person more. It is insane what we have done. Our prisons are filled with people whose offense was the possession of marijuana. And it doesn't matter which drug. What right does a government designed to serve have to say what I may or may not do with my body, to my body, where I may walk, what I may carry? The Constitution gives me the right to carry a weapon. I do so at all times, always. It is my right. It did not say you have the right to own arms. No, it says you have the right to bear arms, to carry arms. This has been a fundamental issue of society since the beginning of civilization. People go armed. The world can be a dangerous place. If we are all armed, it is far less dangerous. I lived in a little town in Mexico called Rodeo, tiny little town of 100 people. Everybody was armed there. They never had a robbery. You would be crazy to walk into the grocery store or the restaurant with a gun and try to hold it up, because every man, woman, and child in there was carrying a gun. It makes for a more peaceful world, and it's just my view. And if you feel differently, that's perfect. You have the right to your opinion too. You have the right to your views. But the government does not believe that. It wants to control what I can possess, what I can wear, what I can say. If I were to speak the Declaration of Independence on a loudspeaker, on a street corner in New York City, I would be arrested for treason, because in there is the statement, when governments no longer serve, it is the right of the people to change it or even abolish it. Abolish it. Think of that. That is our right. If I were to say that, I would be arrested. I'm certain of it. We have reached a point of total insanity within our government. Governments are composed of people. They aren't machines. They act like machines, but all the qualities that people possess, including fear, greed, anger, and hostility, exist within governments, but are magnified by them. When two individuals are angry with each other or are hostile, you might have a broken nose or a bloody lip. When governments become angry, entire civilizations are wiped out. When people become greedy, you just no longer invite them to dinner. When governments become greedy, people starve. This is the truth. And our government has grown so powerful that all of these negative aspects of individuals which manifest themselves in government have become horrendously twisted and ugly and even insane. So this is all I really want to say. I want to answer questions. I'm sure you have many. So there. Okay, send me a text. I can't hear anything. Phone me. Oh, phone you. I can do that.
All right, so
Now I'm hearing things. How'd that happen?
The radio on the microphone. So if you could phone this, I will take your call. Okay, perfect.
Send me a text. I can't hear anything.
I'm sorry? All right. I have to admit, this is the most comical presentation I've ever given. Did anybody hear anything of what I said, by the way? I'm not sure. Okay. Say that again? You want me to redo the speaking? Oh, okay, just talk. All right, I can talk. To be or not to be, that is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind, you got me? Okay, now wait. I'm not sure I understand. Am I going to continue to speak into the phone, or I'm speaking through the? Say that again. I can't. I'm sorry. Can you repeat that? Oh, okay, fair enough. A Caltech 9. I hope it doesn't offend anybody. If it does, I can put my jacket back on. But I'm at home. I thought I could relax. Okay. All right. Okay. Yes, I recall. Okay. All right. I think that the government is making money not off on putting people in prison, but off of the drug war itself. And here's the problem. We've declared war on drugs. It is impossible, utterly impossible, to regulate and legislate what people want to do with their bodies. And this has been proven since the beginning of time. Prostitution is illegal in many countries and has been for hundreds or thousands of years. And yet nothing has changed. we still have enough prostitutes to meet the demand. Nothing will change there. What you want to do in terms of making laws saying that we can't smoke dope or do whatever drugs we want is not going to change anything. We should have learned this during Prohibition. Wait, you're not hearing me? Okay, all right. So here's the issue. We should have learned during Prohibition when alcohol was illegal. During Prohibition, there was more consumption of alcohol in this country since the Danes invented beer. It's absurd. Our personal free. Go ahead. You have another question? Pardon? Yes, it did. Well, just like the war on drugs today has created the largest and most powerful criminal organization the world has ever seen. That is the cartels in Mexico. The Sinaloa cartel is the richest organization on the planet. Why? Because we have made drugs illegal, and we haven't stopped drugs. We haven't changed anything in terms of consumption, in terms of addiction. So it's absurd to continue this. It is utterly absurd. When I become president, one of my first acts is to decriminalize, or attempt to do so through Congress by twisting as many arms as possible, all drug use of any kind. I don't care what the drug is. Heroin. If you want to shoot up heroin, it is your body. And you must bear the responsibility of whatever results come from that. So we cannot ever legislate what people choose to do with their own bodies. It has been proven throughout the ages to be completely ineffective to pass laws against what we wish to do with ourselves. You know this for a fact. Yes. I would dance circles around Donald Trump. You have never seen me on a stage. This is not exactly a stage. This is sort of a, I would call it a clusterfuck, excuse my words. But I actually have a fair degree of charisma when I'm standing up, and people can actually hear me and I can hear them. And I have my head straight on what needs to be done. And I don't waffle. I know exactly what needs to be done. And I've known what needed to be done ever since I was 18 years old. So no, that doesn't frighten me. In fact, I welcome the opportunity, if it could ever happen, to debate Donald Trump. And I would certainly welcome the opportunity to run against him or any other candidate from the two major parties. The two-party machine here, both parties, I don't care who you are, I don't care what ideals you have, when you become part of that machine, you become a cog in the wheel. You lose your soul as a human being. This is another fact. That has to end too. So no, put me on a stage with Donald Trump, and if I do not dance circles around him, I will eat both of my shoes afterwards. I doubt that he will accept the invitation. Well, you know, I'm 70 years old and I've seen a lot. My biggest surprise is that it hasn't happened already. It's not how many, it's how dissatisfied are we? I'm pissed off. I'm unhappy. I feel violated by the government, and I'm sure many of you do too. But I don't think that armed revolution is the way to do this. I mean, first of all, we do have Article 5 of the Constitution, and we already have a near two-thirds majority of the states who have called for one. We just get a few more, and a constitutional convention will scare Congress. It will scare the entire government. But it is our right. That's one way to fix this thing without taking up arms. I don't believe in violence. I really don't. I think that violence begets violence. Anger begets anger. Hostility begets hostility. And you have a spiraling, never-ending conflict. Oh, my God, that's what's happening in the world today. I mean, look at America. We have chosen to be the world's policeman for 50 years. My God, what gives us the right to interfere in the affairs of foreign nations? We're a scant 300 years old, and there are countries that have been existing for 5,000 years and who have developed their culture and think they know what they're doing. What right do we have, I ask you, to interfere? By interfering, we create animosity. They fight back, we fight back, and what happens? We have a war. And at the end of every war, is anything better? No. Look at Iraq. Did we fix anything? No. Did we do anything of value? No. So I would, as a very last resort, choose violence. I don't think that's the approach. I think elect someone like me. I'll get in there and I'll just rag everybody's ass with rhetoric until they get in line. I will fire everybody within the executive branch that needs to be fired, which is probably 2 million people. We can fix things within this system if we believe it, if we actually believe it, if we add to this effort by doing something. Well, you can sit in bars, and I can sit in bars all day long and discuss problems, and nothing will ever change. You have to take action. And that's what I'm doing now. And I need help, by the way. This is an uphill battle for me. If any of you in the audience or any of your friends or anybody listening, believes that there is any chance that I can change things, go to McAfee2016.com and donate 50 cents if that's all you got. But do something. Stand up. Speak to people. Tell them about the Libertarian Party. I fully believe that the majority of Americans are libertarians in their heart. Get them to join the party. Get them to help. Because seriously, what American do you know that does not believe the government is too big, that does not believe that it has invaded their freedom, that does not believe it has invaded their privacy? I know of no one. We are all libertarians at heart. Tell the world that. Get them to join the party. Get behind someone. Get behind me perhaps, but get behind someone and do something. I haven't finished my scotch yet. Go ahead. Well, what differentiates me from Gary Johnson, I think, is that I can win this election. Not just the nomination, but the election. I can. I know this in my heart. I know what I can do and what I cannot do. And I have full confidence in my capabilities. I'm 7 years old. I can't afford to waste a year of my life making a statement. You must believe me on this. I'm doing this because I will win. I don't know how, but I promise you, I will win. As far as Gary Johnson's policies, I don't know the men. I really don't. I can't tell you what would differentiate me from them. I'll tell you what my policies are. Get rid of the Fed. Why do we need a Fed? Think about it. The Fed has 5 main functions. None of them needs to be centralized. Monetary policy. What does that mean? Raise interest rates, lower interest rates. We don't need anybody doing that. The free market economy will take care of that on its own. And what about the other functions that it performs? Interbank exchanges? There were agencies, private agencies in place long before the Fed existed that did that. Printing money? Banks used to print money. Why do we need a central money-making machine? The lender of last resort? There were agencies, associations that were the lenders of last resort before the 30s when the Fed was created. We do not need the Fed. We don't need half of what this government is. Do we actually need the FDA in its current state, telling us that it will take 15 years to approve a potentially life-saving drug, or that we can't drink some juice from Cambodia because it may cause something? We are adults. We get to choose. We get to read. We have the internet now. We can find out things on our own. We can make these decisions and our choices ourselves. I don't need someone else telling me what's good for me. I know what's good for me. Every single branch of the government. Look, we're spending $300 billion a year on the Department of Agriculture. What does it do? Pays farmers not to grow crops. Pays farmers not to grow crops, and it costs $300 billion a year for that. The Department of Education, $75 billion a year. Their mandate is to make policies for education. My God, $70 billion a year for policies? Get real. So the things that I will do is to cut the government, number one, to a size that makes sense for what we need. And as for the rest, I mean, you know, I've been talking tonight. You have a little sense of what my character is and what my goals are, but I don't know the other candidates. But I do know for this one main difference. I do not believe that Gary Johnson can win this election. I don't believe that he believes he can win the election. I guarantee you I will. There's one difference. Is there another question? Well, me, of course. No, you know, I like to, okay, here's one difference between Donald Trump and I. I don't think you can have a big ego and constantly make fun of yourself. And if any of you know much about me, if you've seen the McAfee uninstall video, for example, then you know I can make fun of myself, and I do it every day. Why? Because otherwise I would take myself so seriously that I would have an ego bigger than Donald Trump. Is it ego to know what your capabilities and capacities are? Or is it just self-knowledge? I prefer to call it self-knowledge. I don't parade around like a peacock. You know, look at me. I don't dress up in $10,000 suits like Trump. You know, I don't parade around pretending that I know everything. You know, I do know this much. A wall between America and the nation of the finest tunnel builders in the world is nonsensical. So, is someone waving at me to shut up, or what's this? Missing? Yes. Well, you know, I talked about the Fed earlier, and the solutions is to return to the system we had in the 30s. You know, there are countries that have no central banks now: Scotland, Switzerland, the Netherlands, Hong Kong. They're doing fine. Their economies are roaring, and they do not have a central bank. They have nothing equivalent to the Fed. But let me say this, cryptocurrencies are going to make the Fed completely irrelevant within 10 years. I mean, if I were completely incapable of changing the Fed, it would disappear on its own because we cannot stop it. I don't care what the government wants to do. Cryptocurrencies, that is, digital currencies, are the wave of the future. They are coming, and the Fed can't get into it, can't control it, and has nothing to do with it. So it will disappear, I promise you. Well, you know, I hope we have our cybersecurity systems in place, and you'd better hope so too, prior to that happening. And I think that is one of the things I bring to the Libertarian Party. I think is technology and cybersecurity, one of the most important issues America is facing today. And I know how to fix it. I know exactly how to fix it. I mean, I have a plan. I've written many documents about what needs to be done and how quickly it needs to be done and how it can be carried out. But let's hope that we have that in place prior to the default, because they will push the red button and we will be without electricity, an infrastructure, emergency services, and food within a few months. And who is this nice gentleman? Do you have a question, sir? How do I get the standard American housewife vote? Why are you drawing a distinction between housewives and house husbands? I think that all of no, wait a minute, I'm serious. Don't we all suffer the same? Don't we? I mean, do housewives feel less, invaded than men? I don't think so. Because when the NSA invades our privacy, it invades our home, it invades our family, not just our husbands, our wives, our children, our brothers, sisters, mothers, and fathers, everybody. So if the housewives do not feel the same, if they do not feel disenfranchised, and I don't mean just by the male society, but I mean by the government itself, then I don't know what to say to you. I have another interview shortly, so let's have one more question, my friend. Well, to my knowledge, no one has been harmed yet. And you know, Henry David Thoreau. I'm sorry, you have another question? No, no. Then I'm totally unaware of that, and I'm very sorry for it. But here's what I believe. You know, Henry David Thoreau wrote some marvelous essays, and he lived what he wrote. Civil disobedience has its purpose. Now, civil disobedience doesn't mean taking a gun and going out and shooting the police. Civil disobedience means disobeying laws that are invalid, unjust, and useless. And I think that the people who took over this facility, and I don't think it's a very important facility. I'm not sure that people are banging down the doors trying to get in. To me, it's civil disobedience. As I understand it, there was an unjust decision by the U.S. government to put someone back in prison because they felt that the law had not punished him enough. All right. right? Let me leave you one thing. Go to McAfee2016.com. If you feel it in your heart to donate a dime or a nickel or a quarter or 50 cents, please do so. We need your help. We cannot win this without you and everyone else who believes in the cause. So please do that. You know, I see many of you have smartphones. You can do it right now. McAfee2016.com. Press the button. Donate what you can. We need your support. And thank you very much for having me on. I've terrifically enjoyed it. Like I said, this has been the most comical presentation I've ever done, and I will remember this forever. So thank you. All right.